Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lauren Cohen, the host of Investing Across Borders, where we teach you how to invest, live, work, and play across borders. I'm an international legal and real estate expert, and today I'm here with my guest and dear friend, Jen du Plessis. Now, Jen and I met on the Marketers Cruise. Why? Because we are marketers. Everybody's a marketer at the end of the day. And Jen is a mortgage expert. She has been in the mortgage business, teaching and training and learning and helping and investing for so many years. And she is just an awesome wealth of information. She is a mindset expert as well. And I'm really privileged to have you here today, Jen. She also happens to run a mastermind that I am part of, which is her first mastermind that she's facilitated. And it's going really well. She has some lovely people in there. So Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I'm delighted to be here today. I appreciate you offering the opportunity for me to share.
Well, anytime. I think that what you're doing is making such an impact in the mortgage industry and so many other spaces, and just pulling together some people and developing this mastermind, which a lot of people don't even understand the value of a mastermind, which I'd love to discuss because masterminds go across borders. Masterminds are investing across borders because you can work with people, especially now since COVID started, and we realized with all the Zoom and all the tricks that you know about Zoom, that we can really mastermind with people from all over the world and make a huge impact for them, with them, and so on. So Jen, can you just give us a brief introduction to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. So as you had mentioned, I've been in the financial services space for just 38 years. We just crossed over that line a couple of weeks ago. Just 38 years. I'm no longer in a mortgage origination, so I'm not actually in the mortgage business anymore. But what I do is I coach and support real estate agents and mortgage loan officers, who feel overwhelmed and stressed out and dealing with a lot of chaos in their daily lives, to really calm that down and realize that they could have lifestyle business. And what I mean by that is that a business that they are controlling rather than the business controlling them, and really helping them master their priorities so they can master their life on their way to multiplying their results. So that's really what I'm doing. Of course, I have 2 podcasts. I'm multiple author. I have 2 books in the works now and about ready to start a TV show.
Wow.
And, it just goes on and on and on. And I'm just loving it. I'm just loving where I'm at now, and I'm being pulled to serve in different ways. And that's really what I've been up to. I don't know how I'm keeping up with me.
Tell me a little bit about the TV show. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So, I'm writing a book right now called Tell Me I Can't. And the name of the show is also Tell Me I Can't. So I interview people of all shapes and sizes and backgrounds and everything across the globe who've been told that they can't do something, and they've overcome and persevered. And so we're in pre-production right now. We're going into studio May 1st. So by the time this is released, we will hopefully be already public or out in the, launched out into the world. And but there's a couple things. My book's being written for a Hallmark TV show.
Wow.
So it's being written in a way that'll be hopefully delivered on a Hallmark TV show. And then this TV show, hopefully will be picked up by Netflix, sometime in the next year or so. That's our intention. So I've got some really cool backing, and, we're going big league on this, and it's not for money. It's not for ego. It's not for fame. It's for how I serve. And you know enough about me to know that I am very much a servant heart. And I just want to be able to share that story because I was told so many times that I couldn't do something. And I want to share other stories just like that.
It's especially true. And I hate to say this, and I hate to play this card, but it is true because we are women operating in a male dominated space, it's been, what I do. I deal with foreign nationals. I'm working in this very, especially when I was doing EB5, everybody at the table was men, and they look at you and they're like, what are you doing here? And it's that story is true because they think you can't.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's exactly it, is we're told, and so many people, I mean, I'm interviewing people that were told they can't because of their race, because of their physique,
Sure.
because they aren't smart enough, because they're too tall, because their shoe size is too big, because their shoe size is too small. I mean, there's just, it's just absolutely endless. And I'm looking for great, great stories. We've all been told we can't, but I'm looking for really, really good stories. And and I think this is going to resonate with so many people. We have some really wonderful people. Brian Smith, obviously, the founder of UGG. Brian's going to be on the show. And I'm excited about that. James Dentley is also going to be on the show, Dr. James Dentley. And gosh, I mean, it just goes on and on. There's just a normal, everyday people, and then people that are pretty famous. We're exploring all parts.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times, especially being an immigrant and being through, people don't, first of all, people don't think I'm an immigrant because I don't look like an immigrant. I don't necessarily, unless you say out, sound like an immigrant, but I'm an immigrant
Or
from that
process.
process, right? But
Process.
I learned early on when I first came here and everybody would make fun of me saying sorry. I was like, okay, I'm not going to say that anymore.
Right,
So
right.
I don't, but it's really an interesting thing because people do prejudge you. And
Yeah.
you've been
Yeah.
in the industry 38 years. Now, 38 years ago, the picture was
Oh,
not
yeah.
the same for women for sure as it
No,
is now.
no, no, absolutely not. And I feel, really privileged and honored and humbled that I was one of the main women that created the beautiful path that other women have now in this industry. And in fact, we all wrote a book, 12 of us, 12 women that have been in the industry and really been the pioneers for everyone, wrote a book called Win or Learn. Instead of win or lose, it's win or learn the naked truth. And we talked about our experiences in a male dominated industry, and how we overcame so many different things over years. So, yeah, it was a really fun multi-author book, and that's
Yeah,
what I'm working on now, is another multi-author
I
book.
like
It's,
those.
yeah, the book of acronyms. We're going to call it the
Oh,
3 minute challenge, because in 3 minutes you can have a cute little, or not cute, but a challenge that is heartfelt, spiritual, business oriented, a full book of authors, contributing the acronyms that they use in their businesses, and what it means to them. So we're excited.
well, it's it's
Lots of stuff.
it's brilliant. I mean, you've definitely been a trailblazer in your industry and for women, and that I'm greatly appreciative of that. And at the same time, look at her. Look at this beautiful woman. She's been in the business 38 years. She has grandchildren. You can see them on Facebook. It's a fact. And
It is.
but it's a fact. And she just keeps going and keeps building and keeps impacting. So, Jen, I wanted to ask you, since this podcast is about investing across borders, and
Yeah.
I know that your investing is domestic, but
Yes.
you work with investors or people in the mortgage space from many, many countries. I'm sure
Yeah.
Canada is obviously for ease of access, obviously one of the big ones. Tell us a little bit about how that looks in terms of working with different cultures and people from different countries. Do you approach them differently? How are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my level of experience with investors, across borders, is that I find it's very unique to learn the terminology. Number one, the terminology is quite different.
Yeah.
Some places it's very similar, but most of the time there's some little idiosyncrasies, to them, and really the way that people invest. For example, in Australia, so I met a gentleman. His name is Goose. Let me see if I can say Goose McGrath. Goose McGrath, and he is a real estate agent in Australia. And funny thing about real estate agents in Australia that is totally unique and different from what we here in the United States look at, is that, if you're a real estate agent, you can be a listing agent, you could be a selling agent, you could be a rental agent, right? There's all kinds of, you could be commercial. You have all of these different ways that you can work with clients. And he is a buyer's agent. And in Australia, it is like 1,000 to one, or 1,000 to a half, that most agents are listing agents.
Really? Oh, listing
And
agents,
very
not
few are
buyers agents.
buyers. Yeah, it's really the craziest thing.
Wow.
But what makes him even more unique in that is that all he does is work with investors, which is right down my alley,
Of
right?
course.
All he does is work with investors, and he works with them with coming up with a whole plan, an entire plan to build their entire portfolio over the period of time that they want to build it. So he works with them from day one, saying, I'm your guy for the next 25 years. Let's talk about how we're going to buy and when we're going to buy. And so you have this person that you can latch on to for your entire investment journey and
Yeah.
growing your wealth. And I think that is just the coolest thing in the world. And so my interview with him on one of my podcasts was just really, really good. So that, I would say that's, probably the most unique thing is finding out how people operate, their
Right.
businesses operate. It's very, very different. What is globally equal is Airbnb, which I happen to be an investor in as well.
Yeah.
And, so I think that that's kind of the common thing that I see.
Got it. Got it. So, when you mentioned about kind of this whole holistic approach that this person in Australia has, which is walking them through and being their partner, is that domestic within Australia that he's working with them?
Yeah, it is. And here's what's funny is I have shared that idea with many a realtor here saying, hey, have you ever thought about that? Because, I
Yeah.
find that real estate agents, in at least in the United States, they are very focused on first time home buyers, move
Yeah.
up buyers, that type of thing. And, in the lending space, one of my niches was investors. That's something that I work on primarily. And I still have. I'm no longer licensed to be a traditional loan officer, but I had started a company called Black Fox Investments many years ago, just out of my own need, because I don't qualify for anything. I have too many properties. I can't get anything. And if I do want an owner occupied loan, it's a nightmare, right?
Mhm.
It's an absolute nightmare for me. So out of my own need of needing to find outlets and resources, I started a separate company. And so when I couldn't serve an investor in one arena, in the arena of the traditional financing, I was able to serve them in a different arena. And I still have that company, and I still serve investors for a multitude of reasons, that they do with that company. And so I went out to a bunch of realtors and said, hey, how come you guys aren't doing more investor stuff? And look at the way that McGrath is putting this together. And one of the things that's great about him is that he's willing to share his system with them because, this gives you annuity income. It's
Yeah,
annuity income.
that's so, so important. And
Yeah.
that's,
And it
I mean, to
differentiates
me,
you, right?
pardon me?
It differentiates you from the
Yeah.
commodity. Yeah.
Yeah, EXP, I'm sorry, that affinity income, like that
Yeah.
ongoing, that passive income is
Yeah.
something that realtors just don't have. They're
Yeah.
like lawyers too.
Yeah.
We're equally as guilty, now maybe more lawyers set up retirement funds, but one thing that's common among realtors is they don't have that ongoing access
Yeah.
to income. And if they're
Yeah.
not in the investment world, if they're not
No, it's
investing,
transactional.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not. So one of the things that I would kind of bring to what you're doing is working with investors is I love working with investors. I work with them every day. I don't work with buyers and sellers other than through referrals. But I work with foreign investors. So it's
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
like my big fat Greek wedding. You replace it
Yes.
with whatever. And foreign
Yeah.
investors can be the best market to focus on
Yeah.
because they they are loyal. You're not
Yeah.
searching for the first time home buyer. They're usually coming to you with a significant asset base, and they're going to look at these opportunities and be loyal. And
Yeah.
loyalty is so hard to find in this country, but it's
Yeah.
not so hard to find in many other countries.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's just it's really, it's about
I
kind of,
think, yeah. And I think, I do think that there's loyalty in our country when it comes to investors, because when, again, when you can latch onto someone who you
yeah,
feel confident in and that is the go-to person and is well
yeah,
connected, I think that's critical. And that again is why I tended to work in that investor community,
yeah.
because they wanted to do it again. Let's do it
Again
again.
and again,
Let's
right?
do it
You
again.
taste it once, right?
Yeah.
And they're also doing it multiple times a year. It's not like
Yeah.
it's once and then they stay in their house for 5 years and then they sell it and
Right.
they buy a new one.
Right.
It's like they're doing this on and on and on and on. And
Right.
so that's it's important because a lot of people are afraid, especially of foreign investors. One of
Yeah.
my talks is don't be afraid of the big bad foreign investors. They're really not so bad and they can be your best friend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they can be
Yeah.
your best friend. Tell me a little bit about what prompted you to develop the mastermind.
Oh, the mastermind. Well, it's actually not my first mastermind that I'm running. I've run
Oh,
several of them, but this is the first true mastermind. I
okay.
think that word kind of gets floated around so much. And of course, I've been in masterminds myself for many years, and especially with Greg Reed at Secret Knock. I've been in Secret Knock for a while, and it by itself is a mastermind all by itself. But
Of course.
when he came out with a certification to be a certified mastermind facilitator, I've always been a life learner. I have many, many certifications, and I do that on purpose because I want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And when he brought that out, I said, well, I have to be part of it. And I love the structure of it. I love the experience that I've received from it. I mean, it's opened up so many doors for me and so many opportunities, and really leaning on the mastermind. It's not, one thing about networking is that everybody's out for themselves.
Usually.
And that's probably the biggest complaint I have in networking. And I'm a master at networking. Um,
Yeah, that's for sure. You are.
Thank you. I'm really a master at networking, and I try to grab people, and it's really one of those things where I just want to grab people sometimes and go, would you stop networking like this? Because this is why you're not getting where you want to go.
When they're handing out
Because
their
it's all
cards at the back of the
it's me,
room
me,
and they
me,
don't
me, me.
really care.
Yeah, it's always me, 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 me,
Yeah, what
me.
can
And
I
what we
take?
want
How
to
many
do,
people can I sell this to? It's not about, hey,
right? And
let me
just
serve you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right. And I always say go first, like go first in networking, have it be about the other person. And in that, the law of reciprocation and the natural law of that will happen. And so that's one thing I don't like about networking anymore, is because I don't like being chased in a room.
Yeah.
Right. I'm being chased in a
Zoom
room.
room,
And
fiscal
and
room, any room.
well, and I'll tell you, Clubhouse is becoming that way for me. I,
Yeah,
I had to
it's
pull back a little bit because I felt like I was circling the drain, right? It's a FOMO. But
yeah,
when I got on there and I started talking to people outside of it, I realized they weren't the quality of people that I was looking for.
right.
So I'm very strategic in that now. But it was all about me, and especially as a podcaster, and I have two podcasts, right? As soon as I said podcaster, people wanted to meet with me for
To get
their
on your
purpose,
podcast. Right.
not to help me in
Right.
my business, but to just be on my show. And so it's not tit for tat. It is a reciprocation, right? It's a constant, partnership and reciprocation. So the thing that I really, really like about the masterminds is that the people that are in the masterminds that have a skill set in a specific area are givers of that skill set to the
Correct.
people in the mastermind, and not at a cost. So for example, in one of the masterminds I'm in, this gentleman is a book editor and writer for some of the biggest books we've heard of,
Mm.
biggest, most massive books we've heard of, and not in size, but in sales. And he said to me, hey, let me take a look at your entire funnel of emails, all the emails I send out, right? Let me look at your funnel and let me do some editing and tweaking for you. And it was all done complimentary,
Right.
because in turn he was struggling with his business, and as a business coach I said, oh well, this is a piece of cake, here's what you need to do in your business, and I gave him value too, but there was no money exchange. And that's what I love about the mastermind. It is giving from the heart and giving from experience. And if you can find yourself in a true mastermind, that for me is your sign that that's a true mastermind. You get into a mastermind and all of a sudden everybody's like, well, I'd like to coach you and you can do this. And
Right. Sell, sell,
there,
sell.
now you know. Yeah.
Right. That's definitely, I definitely agree with you. And I think that everybody, no matter what stage you're at in your career, no matter how successful you are, you need to be in some kind of mastermind and you need a coach.
Absolutely.
And whenever I'm
Absolutely.
interviewed, that's the one tip I always leave with. Make sure
Yeah.
that you two things, I guess. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
I'm not a tax advisor,
Right.
despite being
Right.
asked tax questions every day. And stay in your lane and get a coach and
Yeah.
work with that coach. And within that coaching program, whether it's a coach or a mastermind like Jen, who has the mastermind, and then she's also a business coach, you
Right.
can access like-minded people that are helping each other grow as opposed to
Yeah.
helping themselves grow.
Yeah.
And and
Well,
there's a
and you don't
guy
want to be
locally.
alone,
Pardon
right?
me?
And you don't want to be alone in
No,
entrepreneurship. And,
it's
there's definitely,
lonely.
when there's power in numbers, and we know that, but just exponential growth happens when you're in a mastermind.
100%. I mean, in
Mhm.
our mastermind, these are all new people to me, except for Michael. And
Right.
already I'm seeing some reciprocation. And as an international lawyer, I'm happy to help with anything that's needed at any given time. Obviously, there's a point where all of us need to charge for our time, but we
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
give, because
Yeah.
as givers, that's my pleasure in receiving. When I
Right.
see somebody growing and expanding, and you
Yeah.
were also talking about
Well,
how the gentleman in Australia is holding their hand through the whole investment process for 25 years. That's really what I am about in terms of my clients that are
right.
investing from other countries or investing into other countries. Because when
Right.
you invest into that country or you invest into the US, the investment doesn't end when you sign the closing documents. That's
Right.
when it
Right.
starts.
Yeah, that's when the real work begins. Well,
Exactly.
sometimes, I mean, there's some ways that you can invest. It depends on what you're doing, right?
Right, of course.
But yeah,
Of course.
yeah,
But there is still, like, there's still, when you're dealing with cross-border stuff, whatever border it might be, there's
yeah,
always going to be legal issues and tax issues and all kinds of things that you need to consider and revisit, and your business plan needs to change and morph. How many of us anticipated COVID? Especially
nobody,
for
no.
over a year. I mean, I have pictures from a day yesterday, a year ago, when I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this could last for 2 weeks. That's a really long time. So
Right. Right.
crazy.
Well,
Anyway,
what's funny? What's funny, when COVID started, I went into a 12-week year. I thought, okay, we're going to be home for a little bit. I started a 12-week year, and I accelerated my business 1 year in 12 weeks.
wow.
And it was incredible. I was exhausted, but it was incredible. And it
Didn't you
really was
also
the
get
spring.
sick from the cruise? You were sick as well, right?
Well, we think we had COVID
COVID,
because we
yeah.
were sick for 6 weeks,
Yeah.
both of us, with a cough and a fever. And that's it. No runny nose, no anything else. And we had a cough and a fever for 6 weeks, and we were in bed. In bed. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there were about half of our group on
Our
the ship
cruise, our
was,
group. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't, but Craig was, and he
Yeah.
was
Well,
like
I
a
was sick
typical
on the
group.
ship.
Pardon me?
I was already sick on the
On
ship.
the ship, yeah.
Yeah, I was already feeling horrible.
Yeah.
And I've never been sick on a cruise. I've been on 22 cruises.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never been sick.
Talking about that, I'm used to going on 4 a year. Who knows when
Yeah,
that
me
will ever
too. I'm
happen
used to
again,
going on many, many, many.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jen, so tell us when you meet somebody at a networking event,
Mhm.
how do you introduce yourself?
Well, I do something very, very unique, but I mean, if I were just to do this for everybody, if they wanted a tip, because you'd have to go through my coaching to understand what I actually do. And I'm happy to share that, share exactly what I do. But um, when you meet somebody, and you ask someone what they do, we have a tendency to say our title. And the problem with that is that it pigeonholes us into whatever that person thinks about that title.
Mm,
And it creates walls. So, for example, if I were to ask you what you do, I know one piece of what you would say is, I'm a real estate agent, right? I'm a licensed realtor. And then people, their physique changes, right? It'll either be like, oh, I can't afford a house, or it'll be, oh, I bet you're busy, or, oh, I bet, it's a nightmare. Whatever their feeling is becomes the wall, because they don't see anything else beyond that. So if you say you're an international attorney, they're like, oh, you're an attorney. Oh, okay, we know what those people are like. And then, oh, you're international. I don't have anything to do with international.
right.
So I don't need anything to talk to you about. So see ya. Right. And so the problem is, and we know this in sales, is that people work with people they know, like, and trust, right? So I might know what you do. Now I've stereotyped you. I might like you because you seem nice, right? But I will never work with you unless I can trust you. And I can't trust you unless I know who you are, not what you do. And so we tend to walk around and say, hey, I'm a realtor. Here's my card. And then we go, how come I don't get any business? How come I'm not getting, they know what I do. How come I'm not getting business? Because there's no depth to, to that relationship. So when you're networking, it's not to get business. People say that all the time. Well, I tried that and I didn't get any business. Most likely you screwed it up. You went the wrong way. You don't network to get business.
No.
You network to identify potential partners.
Right. Relationships.
And the only way that you can determine that is to have a sit down and learn who they are.
Correct.
And find the expansion of what they do. So I tend to never give my title when I network.
Oh boy, I'm not going to give my title.
Yeah, you're afraid now. You're afraid. I'm so afraid.
I'm not going to say, I got to take it off of here right now.
Yeah, I don't tend to give my title. So generally if I'm networking in that arena, I've got a couple different things that I use in different arenas, but when I'm networking, I'll tend to tell someone, thank you so much for asking. I'm an intuitive connector. And what that means is that I look for ways to connect clients, people, anybody in their business and in their personal lives to move their business forward or to expand in their personal lives. And the way that I do that is with a very savvy, vivid imagery in how I present myself. And I lead with being in the know, that I am aware of what everyone's needs are. And I can intuitively connect those people for the purpose of driving their business forward. So that's what I do. So now it's totally different. And
yeah. And that
but
also,
all I'm saying is I know people and I could do that. Right?
The beauty of
that's
that
not what I do
when you're thinking about across borders, right? Because if I say, like you said, I'm an international lawyer, well, I don't do international stuff. I'm a realtor. Well, where are you a realtor? But if I say I help people invest in real estate and help them to find their why, that's a different conversation. I'm just coming up with that. But that's a different conversation because then you're speaking to what might resonate with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the thing is too, is problem solving, when I'm speaking, when I was a lender, cause I've done this for so long, right?
Yeah.
When I was a lender, and people say, what do you do? What is it you do? And I say, I got to think of this for a second, because I'm trying to think what my two words are. Thank you so much for asking. I'm actually a discerning expert. And what that means is that unlike traditional loan officers who quote rate, sell products, don't show up at closing, never to be heard from again, I focus my attention and efforts in serving my client to create cash flow and wealth creation through the accumulation of properties. And I do this by being in the know about the market and about everything that has to do with real estate, so that I can help guide them through the pathway and be that discerning expert to give them the best options for their mortgage and investments, right? Their mortgage and investments. So, but I can slow that down. I can trim it down, but I know it, right? When I'm a coach, like now, right. I'm known as America's mortgage expert. I help loan officers, real estate agents, and sales professionals who are feeling overwhelmed and dealing with daily chaos, who are self-sabotaging their personal lives for the sake of their business, right? I help them to multiply the results in record time. And I do this through my 5 strategies to help them create mastery in their lives and create lifestyle business mastery so that they can live their legacy while they're building it. So it's very unique and different. What you really want to do is, it's like, I have to be very careful about this because I have a dog here. But when you say go walk, right? Or you want to go for a ride, right? And the dog goes, what? That's what you want to do. When you give your title, it's just a title.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I've had plumbers say I'm a plumber and I go, oh, cracked butt. That's what I think. Cracked butt. Other people might go, oh, broken pipe. So I guess I don't need you now. Instead of coming up with a unique way of saying that. I'm a water solution specialist. Oh,
That's
what's
interesting.
that? Right. And the only reason I know that is because I've coached a plumber.
A water solution specialist.
I'm a water solution
I
specialist.
would definitely a different. I'm a plumber. I'm a
Yeah.
water
And they go,
solution.
oh,
What
what's
the
that? I've
heck
never
does
heard of
that
that
mean?
before. Yeah, I've never heard of that before.
Right. What do you what? It makes your brain think. It actually draws attention and it engages a person to ask
Yeah.
questions and inquire. And that's what you want at the end
Yeah.
of the day. That's what you
Yeah.
always are going to want because you don't, it's like I'm an international lawyer. What? Now I'm going to think about it, Jen, because I'm going to be recording your podcast in a minute. So I have to change my whole I'm
It's
feeling
okay.
under
You
the
can
gun
say you're an
here.
international lawyer. Don't try to change it
No,
now.
I'm sorry. It is what it is. I can't help
Yeah,
it.
no, it's good. It's
I
good.
say I'm a lawyer, but I'm nice.
Right.
Don't hold it against me.
Right.
Unlike when I was first a lawyer, I'd be like, I'm a lawyer. Ha, ha,
Yeah.
ha. But that all changed. Anyway,
Yeah.
Jen, it's always a pleasure to be with you. How do people reach you to learn more and maybe join our mastermind?
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, for the mastermind, just reach out to me. I think in all aspects is just go to jenduplessis.com and I know you'll have the link. And in there, you can submit, an information sheet, a contact sheet to me, and it'll send an email to me and just let me know you're interested in the mastermind. And I'll help you
How
get
many
into
more spots do we have? 4 at the moment.
we
right?
have 4 spots available right now. Yep. And it's a year-long mastermind. This is a little different. I did something very, very special. The other masterminds are very expensive. And so if you went to businessboostermastermind.com, you'll see what the normal cost is. But
Yep.
this is a special group that we're doing. And so, you can always join that one too. With that, I have another mastermind going, but yeah, just go to jenduplessis.com. And I'm always looking for speaking opportunities. I'm always looking for people to interview on my podcast as well and be interviewed on other podcasts. So just looking forward to having that connection with people.
Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
I appreciate
Thank
the
you.
listeners. We are here to serve you and help you to navigate your path to a lifestyle business that allows you to invest, live, work, and play across borders. With that being said, I want to thank my guest, Jen Duplessis, and sign off for today from Investing Across Borders. This is Lauren Cohen, international legal and real estate expert, signing off for today. Thanks again for joining us. Take good care. Bye for now.